Hello, everyone, and welcome to Brain Balance, your guide to improving your mental health. The COVID-19 pandemic has taken the world by storm. It has directly affected almost every person in society. We are told to be careful of our physical health, to be fit, to be cautious, but how does it affect our mental health? We may or we may not acknowledge it, but the pandemic has taken a huge toll on everyone's mental health. So in today's video, we're discussing how the pandemic has brought forth an increase in mental health issues. We will be talking about the reasons and give you tips on how to deal with the problems, so be sure to watch the video till the end so you don't miss out on anything. Let's start with reason number 1, isolation and loneliness. We as a human are not accustomed to living in isolation. All our life we are surrounded by people, so to think that it was all taken away for months on end can't be good for us. Isolation takes a great toll on mental health, and that's why this method is used for punishment. During the COVID-19 peak days, social distancing locked people inside their home. They couldn't see their friends or relatives for days on end, and they gave way to loneliness, especially for the people who live alone. A survey conducted in 2018 found that 1 to 10 people feel lonely or isolated all the time, even in normal circumstances. Now imagine that tenfold. Social isolation can also lead to depression, stress, insecurities, and anxiety over time. Social isolation is not necessarily a bad thing, but if practiced for a long time, it can cause unhealthy social behavior. Some signs that social isolation has affected your mental health are: 1. You feel anxious at the thought of social interaction. 2. You cancel your plans often or feel happy and relief if your plans are canceled. 3. You don't like doing activities you once enjoyed. 4. You get drained every time you have to interact socially. 5. Wanting to avoid social interaction at all costs. And 6. Or only being in the company of a limited number of people at all times. These are some of the signs of psychological damage after the period of isolation. In these cases, it is important to give yourself time and try harder to get back your social life. It also helps if you talk to someone about feeling social anxiety, and it is necessary to actively make an effort to be more interactive in social situations. But as much as social distancing keeps the COVID away, there are still physical risks to isolation. Did you know that in a study by Newcastle University, it was shown that lack of social relationship are associated with a higher risk of heart disease and stroke? Not just that, another study published in the Journal of Gerontology concluded that loneliness was associated with a 40% increase in the risk of dementia. Increase in stress, anxiety, and depression. With sudden changes in lifestyle and daily routine, the pandemic has brought along a lot of stress and anxiety among people. People during the pandemic got very anxious about news related to the virus. The increasing number of cases created fear in their mind, and in return, it caused them to tremendous amount of psychological stress. The stress was caused by the feeling of helplessness, by the fact that they were powerless and couldn't do anything to right the situation. It also didn't help that things escalated so much in a short period of time that made people think of negative scenarios and attract a lot of negative energy. That's why during this time people were more vulnerable to fall into depression, especially the ones who lost a loved one or lost their jobs. A survey also showed how during this time there was an increase in substance use, and people who were over their alcohol or smoke addiction relapsed into using them again. The increasing stress, anxiety, and trauma can be blamed for this. The matter is more severe for unemployed people. With business closing down and all work put to a stop, the rate of unemployment due to the pandemic skyrocketed within the initial months, and it still has to regain balance. The people who lost their means of livelihood fell into depression thinking about their lost job and worrying about the future. Unemployment became the foremost reason for mental stress and depression. It brought a feeling of frustration, helplessness, insecurity, and anger. While unemployment was a nightmare to many, employment during these times was an even worse matter. Our doctors, nurses, and many frontline workers had to keep working during this time. They had to witness firsthand the situation getting worse with each passing day, the panic, the death toll, and the fear of getting sick themselves. While they worked on saving another life, it seems their mental health was at risk. The depression rate among the doctors and nurses increased a great deal. Many videos were circulating of doctors having a meltdown due to stress. Number 3, sick is getting sicker. While we are trying to get a handle on the new disease, our already existing one may be making us more vulnerable. Studies around the world are being conducted on what's making our mental health worse during the pandemic, and there it has shown that people with chronic diseases are more prone to stress, anxiety, trauma, PTSD, and depression. This might be because people with chronic disease or poor health already have other health problems to worry about, and that their disease only makes them more vulnerable to the virus. Rules are also much stricter for them. While other people can take extra caution and go out for necessity shopping, old people or people with chronic diseases are advised against going anywhere unless it's a health emergency. If you're chronically ill, the most important thing is financial stability, and that is like a sinking boat during the pandemic. There is no saving it. It doesn't help that the world economy is deflating and the financial issues are becoming a growing concern for everyone who is not filthy rich, and for the sick people who need constant medication and other facilities. The lack of a stable financial future is a leading cause of stress for many, especially for the lower class who make money per day. We are now moving on to number 4 of the reasons why mental health issues are increasing during the pandemic. There is an increase in domestic violence. The pandemic has given us a great opportunity to take a break and spend time with our family. While for some it's a blessing, for others it's a nightmare. Now that people are locked and forced to live together all the time without any other social interaction, it has brought a shrug of new domestic violence cases. The domestic violence rate has increased 3 times in 2020. The UN has acknowledged the issue and called for global action to be taken. This is why a new operating sector dealing only with domestic violence was introduced. According to a report, domestic violence has increased 37% in New Orleans. Similar surges are seen in many different countries like Spain, Brazil, Italy, and the Netherlands. New cases of abuse are seen, and old cases of abuse are said to be getting worse. This can be due to many factors like spending more time with abusive partners, abuse of substances, feelings of stress, unemployment, and financial issues. It isn't hard to see why the victims have stress, depression, insecurity issues, and other lasting psychological damage. The COVID situation is not yet stable, so here are some tips that can help you. Number 1, be more physically active. The more you engage your mind elsewhere, the less stressful and depressed you'll feel. Number 2, limit your use of social media, because the exaggerated things you see there only adds to your anxiety. Number 3, eat healthy. Number 4, avoid the use of substances at all costs. Number 5, connect with others. Just because you don't have them at an arm's length doesn't mean they aren't here for you. Number 6, if you're feeling unstable or are overwhelmed with negative thoughts, ask for help. There are tons of helplines you can call. Lastly, number 7, just relax and recharge your body and mind. With all that said, that was it for today, guys. In this video, we learned about the increase in mental health issues during the pandemic and some tips that can help. What is your experience during this pandemic? Are you dealing with the issues we mentioned? Let us know in the comments below. Like this video, and if it helped you, share it with a friend. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more brain balance videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.